sell is my Action Comics #1 1987 reprint, which was done by Nestle Quick. Now, if you don't know what Action Comics is, #1 is the first appearance of Superman. It's not the original. The original is worth an insane amount of money. But the reprints, they did several reprints throughout the year, and this one was from the 80s. What I'd like to sell is Action Comic #1 1980s reprint. I believe it was 1987, and it was reprinted by Nestle Quick. And these are, I wouldn't call them rare, but there's not a lot. The rare would be the actual original. The originals, I don't know how many are left, but there's very few. And it's actually the first appearance of Superman. So in some ways, it's the beginning of the superhero genre. And just a lot of history behind this comic book. Personally, this is one of the top comics I have in my collection. It has the original 10 cents. It has the look and feel of the original. And personally, I was never a huge Superman fan, but the origin story of a character of that magnitude, it enthralled me, so I had to get it. But now I am selling it. What I am selling is copies of Star Wars comics number 96 and number 94. These were printed in 1985. And these are the top 2 comic books in my collection. Now, Star Wars to me as a kid was my mythology. It told me what was right, what was wrong, the differences. You could do the dark side, which was about you, or you could do the light side, the force of the force, that had to do about what was good. And so I think for a lot of kids my age, it ended up being for a lot of kids my age, it was the story. It was the story. It connected us with the future. It connected us with the past. It had samurai feels to it. It had spaceships. Star Wars to me was my mythology. I mean, you take the emblem of the Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is the mentor. You have Luke Skywalker, who doesn't want to go on this adventure, and he gets in a situation where he has no choice. I mean, his house is burnt, his family is killed, and what else is he going to do? So he goes on this adventure. The mythology covers everything, including past and present. You have the samurai, old ways, which is represented with Obi-Wan Kenobi, but then the future, which is you have spaceships. In fact, the Force was one of the reasons why I got into magic. These are the comic books you are looking for. I mean, how cool is that? The idea that you could manipulate your environment. You knew more. You knew that beyond oneself, there was more going on. Now, midichlorians kind of killed that for me in the prequels, but first 3, they don't explain it. They just say things are connected, and you can tap into that. And so that concept, that idea, that philosophy really drove me to study magic, to study religion, to study a large thing. So Star Wars to me is a embodiment of how comic books can be, how movies should be. They should really be milestones, or a guidepost, I guess is a better example, a guidepost for how people should act, how they should behave, the world we live in, and gives us excitement in our life. It allows us to see that there's more to the world than our daily lives. Now I know you're wondering, why am I trying to sell part of my collection? And it's very simple. The money that I'm using is going to go to fund my next comic book. I've actually created a comic book that I funded through Kickstarter, and we raised enough money, but we hit a roadblock where now we would like to take the next step. We need to print enough versions to sell, to distribute, and we're stuck. And we've kind of come up with as many ways as we can to raise money to get the comic book out there. Now, the sad thing is I treasure this comic book, and as I said, it means a lot. But the way that I can say, okay, let's do this is, first of all, I have a family, and I would like to stop performing full time and create comic books. That way and actually work on it with my family. My wife helps me. My son's a little too young, but eventually he'll help me with the comic book. Now, the second reason is I want to create new versions of those old mythologies, the superhero, the whole package. I feel like the comic book industry, while they still do a decent job, get hung up on old ways. And so I feel like they're limited in what they can produce because they have to make money. So this is really a labor of love I've been working on for a couple years, doing any way I can to fund it, and I would love to give up even a part of my childhood, which is these comics, to fund other children's mythologies, other children's superheroes, stuff for new generations.